Taurus has begun a march of new products that doesn't seem to be slowing down. And this is one that I doubt many of us saw coming. I'm Chris with jerry'soutdoorsports.com, and this is the GX4 Strike. Now, I reviewed the GX4 Carry when it came out, and it left me with a very favorable impression of it. Long story short, none of that has really changed. But with the Strike, you just get a few more features. Now, there are a few compromises you make for this, but none of them are really deal breakers. The fire control group on the GX4 actually made it really easy for Strike Industries to adapt their Bravo chassis system to it. Now, the Bravo isn't something new. It's been around for the Sig P320 for quite some time. But right now, futures for the P320 are not looking great. But at least there's still some systems that keep the Bravo chassis viable. My example also came with the Strike Industries FSA brace, which is a brace that I quite like. It's actually coming stock on a lot of other systems, including the Springfield Kuno, which I also did a video on. There's a lot of videos that are coming full circle on this one. If you like content like this, then go ahead and like and subscribe. Then head over to jerry'soutdoorsports.com for all your Freedom Seed needs at our web store. Also, get signed up for our giveaways like this Tippmann Arms M422 with Crimson Trace red and green dot and Accurite Whisperer 22 suppressor. Make sure you follow us on X and Facebook, where I post industry news, sales updates, and memes that will eventually get me banned. The Strike is coming in at 35 ounces, whereas the GX4 Carry was 21.5 ounces, and that's not a paltry weight gain, but this entire package still stays well below the weight of a full-size steel frame 1911. Now, the threaded barrel on the Strike just begs to be suppressed, and of course that's exactly what I did. But it should be mentioned that the first suppressor that I used was a traditional stack baffle design with 115 and 124 grain projectiles. Slide velocities were pretty high. With subsonic loads, it wasn't as much of a problem, but I was looking for an excuse to get a Mojave 9 from dead air anyway. And with a low back pressure can, all loads ran just fine and slide velocities ceased to be an issue. Now, using the brace brings your face pretty close to the Strike, rendering the stock irons pretty much useless. Luckily, all the Strikes are coming with an optics cut for an RMSC footprint. I mounted a Vortex Defender CCW on mine and I was off to the races. I was actually able to run the Strike very fast, due in no small part to the excellent trigger that the GX4 family has, for a short time, because of the meager 15-round mags. Now, luckily, because of the success of the GX4 family, there are companies making magazine extensions, but some native 25-round mags would be really cool and make loading just a little bit easier. Now, recoil on the Strike is a little stiffer than you would expect for a little 9mm, but it's by no means punishing. I was still able to keep the dot on target through quick strings of fire. And I was able to walk it out further than I could with a base GX4. Getting rounds on target at 100 yards wasn't unreasonable. Now, there's been a lot of people who have tried to replace rifles with stock pistols, and they've failed every time. The Strike isn't going to change that dynamic, but it does fill an interesting gap between rifle and pistol. You don't have the bulk of a rifle, but you don't have such limited range of a pistol. Running the Strike with an optic, suppressor, and subsonic ammo, it just comes into its own. It gives you the vibe of a piece of kit that a Q-like figure would be handing you while telling you that you have to return it. 10 years ago, had you told me that something like this would be out, and it would be from Taurus, no less, I wouldn't have just laughed at you. I would have thrown my drink in your face, but here it is, man. The Strike ran almost perfectly. It didn't like some Federal Syntech 147 grain semi-wad cutters, but the Strike is based off of a compact pistol, and a lot of compact pistols just don't seem to like that round. But everything else it ate up, even when it was getting really gunked up from the suppressor. So I'll admit that I strain when I try to find a practical use for the Strike, but I won't deny that I absolutely adore the novelty in it. Everybody who I let shoot it had a smile on their face when they got done. There's absolutely no argument against how much fun the Strike is, but it does lead me to a question of Taurus and Strike Industries. When do I get a Bravo chassis TX22? Anyway, I'm Chris with Jerry's Outdoor Sports, and I'll see you next time.